Have you ever noticed that after a really good dance session, your body feels different than it does after a regular workout? Not just tired, not just sweaty, but somehow lighter, looser, more alive. There is a reason for that, and it goes way deeper than most people realize. What if I told you that dancing is not just exercise, that it is actually one of the most powerful tools your body has for reorganizing its own internal structure? And what if the reason you feel so stiff, so tight, so locked up in your body has almost nothing to do with your muscles and almost everything to do with a tissue that most people have never even heard of? Today we are going to talk about fascia. We are going to talk about why your body literally craves dance more than it craves traditional exercise. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand something about your own body that could change the way you move for the rest of your life. Let me start with a question. When was the last time you felt truly free in your body? Not strong, not fit, free. Like every joint could move without restriction. Like your spine could undulate without catching. Like your shoulders could roll without grinding. If you cannot remember, you are not alone. Most adults have lost that feeling entirely and they think it is just aging. But it is not aging. It is something else. Let me explain what fascia actually is, because this is where everything starts to make sense. Fascia is a continuous web of connective tissue that wraps around every single muscle, bone, organ, nerve, and blood vessel in your body. Think of it like a three-dimensional spider web that lives just beneath your skin and extends all the way down to the cellular level. It is one uninterrupted system. If you could dissolve everything in your body except the fascia, you would still see a perfect outline of your entire form. Every finger, every toe, every curve of your face. That is how pervasive it is. Now here is the thing that most people do not understand. Fascia is not passive. It is not just packing material. It is a living, responsive, communicative tissue. It has more sensory nerve endings than your muscles do. It actually plays a massive role in how you perceive your own body in space, what scientists call proprioception. And it can change its structure based on how you move or how you do not move. When fascia is healthy, it is smooth, hydrated, and slippery. The layers glide over each other like sheets of silk, allowing your muscles and joints to move freely in every direction. But when fascia becomes dehydrated, stressed, or neglected, it starts to bind together. It forms adhesions. It gets sticky and matted, almost like felt. And when that happens, your range of motion decreases, your posture distorts, and you start to feel that chronic stiffness and tension that so many people just accept as normal. So what does this have to do with dancing? Everything. And I mean everything. Traditional exercise, the kind most of us do, tends to work in very linear, repetitive patterns. Think about it. Running is forward and back. Bench pressing is up and down. Bicep curls go in one plane of motion. Squats go in one plane of motion. Even most stretching routines move your body through predictable straight line patterns. And your fascia adapts to that. It lays down fibers along those predictable lines of force, and it becomes very good at supporting those specific movements. But it also becomes rigid and restricted in every other direction. Dance is fundamentally different. Dance moves your body through all three planes of motion simultaneously. You are rotating, you are spiraling, you are undulating, you are shifting laterally, you are extending and contracting in ways that are unpredictable and multiplanar. And this is exactly what fascia needs to stay healthy. Think about what happens when you do a salsa step. Your hips are rotating in one direction, while your torso is counter-rotating in the other. Your arms are extending outward while your core is spiraling. Your weight is shifting across your feet in a way that sends cascading forces through your entire fascial web. In a single 4 count of salsa, your body is moving through more planes and angles than most people hit in an entire gym session. Now let me explain why this matters on a tissue level. Fascia responds to something called mechanotransduction. That is a fancy word for a simple concept. When you apply varied mechanical forces to fascial tissue, the cells within that tissue called fibroblasts respond by remodeling the tissue. They break down old, rigid collagen fibers and lay down new, properly organized ones. They release hyaluronic acid, which is the natural lubricant that keeps fascial layers sliding smoothly. They literally reorganize the tissue from the inside out. But here is the key. This remodeling process requires varied, multi-directional loading. It does not happen effectively with repetitive linear movement. Your fibroblasts need novel input. They need movement that comes from unexpected angles, at varying speeds, with changing rhythms. And that is a near perfect description of dance. When you dance, especially when you dance freely and expressively, you are giving your fascia exactly the stimulus it needs to heal itself. Every undulation of your spine is hydrating the thoracolumbar fascia that runs along your back. Every hip circle is breaking up adhesions in the deep fascial layers around your pelvis. Every arm movement that spirals from your shoulder through your fingertips is gliding and lubricating the fascial planes of your upper body. This is why people who dance regularly often have a quality of movement that is visibly different from people who only lift weights or only run. Dancers tend to look fluid. They move as if their body is one continuous connected system rather than a collection of separate parts. And that is because, from a fascial perspective, that is exactly what is happening. Their fascia is organized, hydrated, and integrated. Now I want to talk about something that might surprise you. Your body actually craves this kind of movement. And there is a neurological reason for it. Remember when I said fascia has more sensory nerve endings than muscle? Your fascial system is one of the largest sensory organs in your body. Some researchers have even argued it is the largest. When your fascia is dehydrated and bound up, those nerve endings are constantly sending low-grade stress signals to your brain. You might not consciously feel them as pain, but your nervous system registers them as discomfort, as restriction, as a vague sense that something is not right. That feeling of wanting to stretch, wanting to twist, wanting to move in ways that are not part of your normal routine, that is your fascia talking to you. And here is what is fascinating. Cultures throughout human history have intuitively understood this. Every traditional culture on earth developed some form of dance, not as entertainment, not as performance, but as a communal practice of health and connection. Indigenous peoples across every continent used dance as a way to maintain physical vitality. Long before anyone knew what fascia was, humans were instinctively doing the exact type of movement that keeps it healthy. Think about traditional African dance with its deep rhythmic undulations and polyrhythmic hip movements. Think about Indian classical dance forms like Bharatanatyam with their intricate hand gestures and full body coordination. Think about the spiraling movements of Sufi whirling or the flowing continuous motion of traditional Chinese dance. These are all essentially fascia health practices dressed in cultural clothing. And then look at what happened in modern industrialized society. We stopped dancing. We replaced full body, multi-directional rhythmic movement with sitting at desks, walking in straight lines, and going to gyms to move weights up and down. And now we have an epidemic of chronic pain, stiffness, and restricted movement that we blame on aging, but that is actually a fascial crisis. Let me give you a concrete example of how this works. Imagine your IT band, that thick strip of fascia that runs down the outside of your thigh. Runners are plagued by IT band problems. They foam roll it, they stretch it, they do all kinds of targeted work on it, and it keeps coming back tight. Why? Because running only loads the IT band in one direction, over and over and over. The fascia adapts by becoming dense and rigid along that single line of force. Now imagine a dancer who regularly does lateral movements, hip drops, figure eights, and rotational steps. That same fascial structure is being loaded from multiple angles. It is being stretched, compressed, sheared, and twisted in constantly varying patterns. The fibroblasts within that tissue are receiving a rich diet of mechanical information, and they respond by maintaining a tissue that is strong but also supple, dense but also elastic. The dancer rarely has IT band problems, not because they are inherently different, but because their movement patterns keep that tissue in a healthy, organized state. This principle applies to your entire body. Your plantar fascia, that tissue on the bottom of your feet that causes so many people grief, dance, especially barefoot dance, loads it in all the varied ways it needs. The thoracolumbar fascia in your low back. Spinal undulations and rotations keep it hydrated and mobile. The deep fascial layers around your neck and shoulders, arm movements that flow and spiral rather than pump and press keep them gliding freely. Now I want to address something important. I am not saying you should stop going to the gym. I am not saying strength training is bad. Strength training is valuable. Cardiovascular exercise is valuable. But these forms of movement are incomplete without the kind of multi-directional, rhythmic, full-body integration that dance provides. Think of it this way. Strength training builds the structural components of your body. Cardiovascular training builds your engine. But dance is what integrates everything and keeps the system moving as one cohesive unit. There is also a neurological dimension to this that we need to talk about. Dance requires something called interoception, which is the ability to sense what is happening inside your body. When you dance, you are not just moving your limbs through space. You are feeling into your body, sensing tension, sensing rhythm, sensing flow. This activates the insular cortex in your brain, which is the region responsible for body awareness and emotional processing. And research has shown that regular activation of the insular cortex through practices like dance actually improves your brain's ability to regulate the autonomic nervous system. What does that mean in practical terms? It means dance does not just reorganize your fascia, it helps reorganize your nervous system too. People who dance regularly tend to have better stress resilience, better emotional regulation, and a more balanced relationship between their sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. They are not just looser in their bodies, they are calmer, more present, and more emotionally integrated. And this makes sense when you think about it from an evolutionary perspective. For hundreds of thousands of years, human beings danced. It was one of the primary ways we bonded socially, processed emotions, celebrated, grieved, and maintained physical health. Our nervous systems evolve with dance as a fundamental input. Taking dance out of human life is like taking sunlight away from a plant and then wondering why it is wilting. So let me give you something practical. If you want to start using dance to improve your fascial health, you do not need to take a formal dance class, although that is wonderful if you enjoy it. You can start right in your living room. Put on music that makes you want to move. Close your eyes. And instead of trying to dance correctly, just let your body move in whatever way feels good. Start with your spine. Let it undulate forward and back. Let it move side to side. Let it spiral. Follow the movement as it naturally wants to travel through your body, from your spine into your ribs, into your shoulders, into your arms, down into your hips, into your legs. Do not choreograph it. Do not judge it. Just move. Spend 10 to 15 minutes doing this 3 or 4 times a week, and within a month, you will feel a tangible difference in your body. Things that were tight will start to loosen. Areas that felt stuck will start to flow. Your posture will begin to shift without you consciously trying to correct it. And you will notice something else too. You will feel better emotionally, more grounded, more present, more at home in your own skin. The reason this works is because you are giving your fascial system exactly what it has been starving for. Varied, rhythmic, multi-directional movement that hydrates the tissue, breaks up adhesions, stimulates fibroblast activity, and sends rich sensory information to your brain. You are doing what your body was designed to do. Now here's one more thing I want to leave you with, and this is important. Your fascia holds memory. This is not some vague metaphysical claim. Research has shown that fascial tissue retains the physical imprint of chronic postures, repetitive movements, and even emotional stress. When you hold tension from anxiety, that tension lives in your fascial web. When you sit hunched over a desk for years, that posture gets encoded into your fascial structure. This is why you cannot just think your way out of chronic tension. The pattern is literally woven into your tissue. Dance is one of the most effective ways to rewrite those patterns. When you move freely and expressively, you are not just stretching muscles. You are actively remodeling fascial tissue that has been locked into dysfunctional patterns for years or even decades. You are giving your body permission to let go of holding patterns that no longer serve you. And because fascia is so deeply connected to the nervous system, releasing fascial restrictions often releases emotional tension as well. This is why people sometimes laugh or cry during deep movement practices. It is not imaginary. It is a real physiological response to fascial reorganization. Your body is not a machine made of separate parts. It is a living, interconnected web of tissue, and that web needs to be moved in ways that honor its complexity. Linear, repetitive exercise is not enough. Your fascia needs the richness, the variety, the rhythm, and the unpredictability that dance provides. So the next time you feel that urge to put on music and move, do not ignore it. That urge is not frivolous. It is not childish. It is your body's deep intelligence telling you exactly what it needs. Dance is not just one of the best ways to reorganize your fascia. It might be the single most natural and effective movement practice available to human beings. And the best part it is, you already know how to do it. You just forgot. Your body remembers. Let it move. If this changed the way you think about movement and your body, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And in the comments, tell me when was the last time you danced. Not at a wedding, not at a party, but truly danced alone in your living room, just for the joy of moving. I want to hear your stories. I will see you in the next one.